I started selling on Etsy about 2.5 years ago, and I just passed $850,000 in revenue. Here's a quick snapshot of my overall time from my Etsy account. For some reason, I find orders is slightly off. I actually just passed 20,000 if you take a look at my storefront, but here it says 17.8, but the revenue is correct. And before people come at me, because yes, revenue is not equal to how much money has gone into my bank account, I am doing print on demand, so I pay a supplier to print and ship my products for me. And I used to make, when I first started out in a first year, about a 35% profit. Unfortunately, that has gone down in the last year or so, just because prices have risen and I didn't really update my prices for quite a while. So it has moved down to about a 25% profit in the last little while. But this does not mean that I was successful right away. It actually took quite a while for me to build up my store to get to the point where I was making more money than my 9-to-5. So today I want to share with you what I've learned along the way that helped me get to this point. And the first thing I learned is that the beginning is extremely hard. I didn't make my first sale until 5 weeks in, and that was 70 live listings. I didn't get daily sales until I had over 400 listings live. And I didn't start making profit in the thousands until about 7 months of consistent work later. But that hard upfront work has allowed me to create a shop that now makes money with me doing zero advertising. I don't do any printing or shipping of any of my products, and it runs extremely smoothly, except for having to answer some customer service questions. But at the beginning, you are learning. You are going to make so many mistakes in the beginning. You are learning what products are going to work for you, what niches are going to work for you. And unfortunately, a lot of that testing time and that learning time to get to the point where you can be a top seller is going to take a while. The great news about this though is this is the reason so many people fail at print on demand. They expect to start making money right off the bat. They expect to be quitting their jobs in the next month. What they don't realize is the beginning is going to be pretty stressful because you have to do a lot of work without seeing any sales. So it's really hard to continue without getting payback. This is the number one example of delayed gratification. So no, at the beginning of my journey, I did not believe that this was going to be something that allowed me to quit my job. For quite a while, I just looked at it as something fun to do. And once I started making like $200 to $300 a month, it was just a fun little side hustle to cover my phone and internet bills. So if this is something you want to do, go into it with a reasonable expectation. Because if you start off like I did, expecting to make a ton of money early on, within a month you're going to give up because you're not seeing the results. You have to know that you are in this for the long run and you are going to make it work. And you are going to succeed above the people who are just going to give up in the first month or two. The second thing I learned is you need to focus. You can still be successful with t-shirts, sweatshirts, metal wall art, mugs. The problem is what I see a lot of people doing and what I tried to do early on was try to test everything, every niche and every single product. But that makes you lose focus and it becomes really hard to be good at selling a bunch of things when you should be focused on becoming really good at selling one thing. I have done the mistake of opening a separate metal wall art store, a separate ornament store, a separate digital download store, and my print on demand store. And usually I end up closing those other Etsy shops because trying to manage multiple different Etsy stores and managing multiple different products becomes extremely confusing and hard to manage. Why split up all of your time trying to kick off too many different businesses when you should just pick one and stick with it? I now sell only t-shirts and sweatshirts, and that actually has moved mostly to sweatshirts now. And the only time I'll add it to a brand new product is I'll just add my bestsellers to maybe a t-shirt and a tote bag. But otherwise, I am focused on just sweatshirts. This is so when I am doing competitor research, niche research, when I'm buying mock-ups, when I'm finding which mock-ups are getting me the best sales, I'm able to really get good at knowing all the data behind selling a sweatshirt. But again, I've had tons of different products. I'm spreading myself too thin. I talk about a lot of different products on this print on demand YouTube channel, but I don't think you should be trying every one. I'm giving people ideas because say they don't want to sell t-shirts and sweatshirts. Maybe they want to sell desk mats. Maybe they want to sell tote bags, but I don't think you should be throwing in every single product that you can think of that you haven't mastered into one store. It also looks bad to your customers if they come into your store and you are just listing everything and everything is not optimized, again, because you have not learned to master every single product. This also just saves me time. For some people, they'll create a design, and I kind of did this when I first started too, and then I put that design on a tank top, a t-shirt, a hoodie, a sweatshirt, and listing one design took so much time. Now, I just put it on a sweatshirt. So if it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. If it does sell, then later I'll put it on other products. I know it's hard, but pick a product, master it, and stick with it. And that leads me to my next point, which is you need to be studying other bestsellers. If you are selling sweatshirts, then you should be studying other people who are selling sweatshirts. And when looking into these competitors that are also selling, for example, sweatshirts, you want to be studying what type of main photos are they using? What type of information are they putting in their descriptions? What type of pricing structures are they using? How are they titling their products? How are they tagging their products? Without understanding why another person is making money on sweatshirts, you cannot replicate that and do that in your own store. I spend a whole lot of time just doing competitor research. I'll just look up sweatshirts and I'll look through all of the best sellers. I'll notice what niches are doing well, what type of styles are doing really well, what type of fonts are selling well on sweatshirts. Are more minimalist designs selling? Is a big college block kind of a trend right now within sweatshirts? And again, back to my last point, if I were studying mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts, everything, this type of research becomes extremely confusing and just way too thinly stretched. So by having this one product, it becomes really easy to understand what your competitors are doing. When I first started my store, I didn't do any competitor research. For some people, it's really obvious. For me and many others, it isn't obvious to do this. I was just finding any template that I could find on Canva or on the internet, or just any funny saying that came to my mind and doing a horrible design around it. I was putting silly icons, doing colors that wouldn't sell, picking fonts that wouldn't sell. And once I actually started looking at competitors, I was able to start bringing in some of the elements that created a best-selling design into my own designs. And now, after doing this for so long, I have a really good idea when I'm creating a design as to what works because I've just trained my eye for it. And then moving on to my point 4, which is related and might seem a little contradictory, but when you're actually going through these bestsellers, we are not copying them. We are improving upon them. Say we found a best-selling cat mom shirt. Is there a way that you can improve upon this? Perhaps you could use a different sweatshirt type. If they're selling Gildan 18,000, maybe try putting a similar design, not copying, onto a comfort color sweatshirt. Perhaps this sweatshirt doesn't have any customization. Maybe to change it up, what you can do is let people add their pet names to the sleeve. Perhaps doing your research, you realize a certain color combo is doing extremely well on other designs. Could you bring it over to this other really good design and combine them to create your own brand new design? It's about finding what works and making it better so that you stand out. And even if it's not better, can you do something different so that it might apply to a different group? Say you found, again, this cat mom sweatshirt that was doing really well. Can you make a similar design for guinea pig mom, ferret mom, dog mom, and find niches that that type of design hasn't been done for yet? So study what's working to understand what works, and then use that information that you've stored in your head to make other designs better and to stick out from the competition. By copying from the competition, you're going nowhere. You're probably going to have your store shut down, and you're just not really having an ethical business that you're going to be proud of. And my last point is you have to absolutely love doing this. Again, like I mentioned earlier, it took me quite a while to start getting enough income to do this full time. And it took a lot of time at the beginning to even start getting sales. And if I hated what I was doing, I would not be able to keep going. And even if I did start making crazy amount of sales early on, if I hated this process, I've only just built a business that I hate. I have tried to get friends and family and even my fiance to create a print-on-demand store. And they all really wanted to after I showed them my results. But the problem I realized when all of them gave up super early was that they were in love with the end result and not the process. I absolutely love to put on a podcast or put on a mindless reality TV show and just work on my store, creating designs, doing that research, and doing that listing. And it's something I don't get tired of. I absolutely love running my store still 2.5 years later. And if I didn't, then I think I would have given up on my store really early, or I would have let the customer service fall off because I hated managing it. You need to love what you do. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for a worse situation than if you were at work, because now you are absolutely stuck doing something that you dislike. All right, guys, I hope this gave you some motivation to work on your store and start making some changes to your process. Or perhaps this video made you realize you don't want to work on your store because you hate it. Either way, I count that as a success. If you are interested in learning about more techniques that I use for my print-on-demand store, check out the rest of my videos where I share a lot of useful content as to how I got to this place. Thank you guys, and see you next week.